there's so much I don't know about Frankie Cutlass. I just wanted to talk to you and what's the Frankie Cutlass story? I'm in Chicago, you're in New York. I went to Wikipedia and I saw you're the youngest of 9 kids.
9 kids.
That was before HBO, right?
Actually, wait. Was it 9 kids? Yeah, it says 9 kids on it.
Yeah.
Right, but it was actually 11.
11 kids.
Yeah, so that 2 died when they were born, but it was 11 kids. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But so tell me some stories. So what's going on? So you grew up in Spanish Harlem?
Grew up in Spanish Harlem. Yep, I grew up in the same building with Mark Anthony. He lived on the 1st floor. I lived on the 7th floor, and we played as kids. Man, we used to play in the playgrounds and run around. And sometimes his father would, bring his guitar out and he'll play some what's called jibaro music, some of those country Puerto Rico music, and we would sit there and listen to him. So, that's where Mark Anthony really picked up all his singing habits from and his musical background, you know what I'm saying? But, that was that. And I used to also hang out at a place called the D. If on the record, One Way Love, TK, it gives a shout out to a place called the D. All right. It's like the letter D. All right. Because it was shaped as a D, believe it or not, in the park. It was shaped as a D. So that's why they call it the D. So we used to all go over there, including, like I said, Mark Anthony used to hang there. TK used to hang out there. Like India used to hang out there. A lot of people in the neighborhood. Cynthia used to, come by, and it was just, one of those neighborhoods to hang out. Yeah, man.
Awesome. And so you started mixing at 15 because the music was in you, right?
13 years old, I picked up. 13 years old. Believe it or not, my brother, may he rest in peace. His name is Tito Wilfredo. He was a DJ, he was a desk jockey, and I remember the first song I heard coming out of his room was Makusa, So Makusa, the original one. And I was like, what the hell is that, man? That sounds so dope, man. What the hell is playing in his room? And then I think the second record was Freedom, and I was just like, oh man, this thing sounds dope. I remember him one day leaving the apartment with his friends and stuff, and I told my mom I wanted to play with his equipment. My mom was like, are you crazy? And she was like, but his door is locked. I said, all right, but let's open it. So she picked the lock open.
No kidding.
And then she was like, hey, go inside. I'll let you know when he's coming. Imagine, I was 13 years old. So I turned on all the equipment, boom, got it on. And the record that I played was Freedom. You know what I'm saying? So I started trying to mix Freedom or whatever. And then, of course, when she was like, I think he's coming. So I turned everything on, closed the door, whatever. But he knew I was in there because I left the equalizer on.
Oh.
He was like, Mom, why did you let him in? Why did you do that? Come on, man. And she was a little upset. He was a little upset. My mom was like, just let him play with it. He's like, no, he's going to break my equipment. But that was funny. But at the age of 13, I started DJing. Yeah.
So you were 13. How old was your brother?
He must have been in his 20s, early 20s.
Okay. So he's much older. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm the youngest out of the the whole crew. Yeah.
So once you get the bug though, you started buying records, you started getting your own equipment, or what happened?
Well, I started buying records, but of course, I didn't have no money back then. So I wasn't working. I was still in elementary school. But my first record was I can remember my first record was At the Party by the Church Street. It was called At the Party. It was one of those rap records. Yeah. My friend went and bought it at the record store called The Wiz. Remember The Wiz? Over here we had something called The Wiz. Uh-huh. And that was the first vinyl that I got in my hands. Later, I used to go to a friend's house around the neighborhood that had DJ equipment. So I used to go to his house and practice. I remember one day I went to his house and knocked, and he kind of like stood at the door, and I knew something was wrong. And he was like, "What do you want?" Like, I want to practice. He was like, "No, we're not practicing today." I was like, "Why? What's going on?" He's like, "I have a girl here. You ain't coming in." I was like, okay, no problem, man. Take care. So I left. I went back home. I was pretty sad because every Saturdays I go to his house, to DJ practice. And when I came home, my mom like saw my, my face expression. She was like, "What's wrong? You okay?" And parents know. They know when something is wrong with their kids. So I was like, "No, I'm good, Mom." She was like, "No, there's something wrong. What's going on?" I was like, "Nah." And she was like, "Wait a minute. Why you not at the guy's name was Val? Why you not at Val's house? What's going on? Like something went wrong?" And I was like, no, everything's good. So finally she comes back like a half an hour later. She's like, "Come on, let's go." And I'm like, "Let's go where? Where are we going?" She's like, "Let's go. I want to buy you those chicky, And I was like, are you serious, Mom? She was like, yeah. I was like, but Mom, like where did you get the money? Like that costs a lot of money. She says, don't worry about it. I'm going to jeopardize this month's rent and I'm going to buy your equipment. And man, that really touched my heart really hard. Like when she told me that she was going to jeopardize her rent just to buy me equipment to keep me happy. That really, she didn't know I was really sentimental. I was really crying, you know what I'm saying? We went downtown and we bought DJ equipment. It was not the 1200s though, but it was something to just practice. But I was really touched by that, you know?
Oh, that's a beautiful story. What kind of turntable were they?
Oh, they were Technique, but they were the straight arms. You know what I'm saying? I can't remember the model, but they were Techniques, but they were the straight arms. I forgot what it was. But
my first pair were the 1200s, or not 1200s, the SL20s or something, belt driven.
That's what it was. That's exactly what they had, the belt drives. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah, so, you know, they worked. Yeah, they did work. They worked. And stuff.
The method when you put your pinky so it's
yeah. So, you know, so the guy who sold it to us, he was like, look, I know you can't afford 1200s, but you could get these, you know, for starters, and these are actually good. A lot of DJs are using these. So I was like, all right, fine, no problem. So we got that. We got a mixer. I already had an amp at home and some speakers. So I just plugged it in and started practicing.
That's the best. Same thing. Yeah. Same kind of thing with me too. I got those. And once you get the bug, that's all you want to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's all I want. And it benefit her because, you know, she didn't want me outside.
She didn't want me in the street.
She didn't want me in the street. So it benefit her. So she was like, hey, this works for me. I'll buy the equipment. He stays home, you know? Yeah. So it benefit her. Yeah, man.
My dad used to work for the YMCA. And so it was always, you know, let's go play basketball. Let's go do all this stuff. And I didn't want to leave the room. And, you know, he would say to my mom, he goes, how come he doesn't want to go do anything? He just wants to stay, you know, practice, you know, make 8 hours long. And she goes, I don't know, but I hear boom, boom, boom all night long. You know, just for music.
And look at us now, right, Tim?
Yeah,
you know, it's like a paid off. All we know is music, right? All we know is just, you know, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I don't know about you, Tim, but I never had a job in my life, man.
Terrible at it, man.
I never had a job. I don't know what the hell to work. To be honest with you, it was just like, maybe one time I tried to work somewhere, but it lasted like a week and I was out of there. But I you know, everything was just music for me. Even as a young, you gotta understand, I started at 16 years old. My first record was 16 years old. So you know, they gave us an advance. You know, so I thought I was rich. You know what I'm saying? Make My Records gave us an advance, so I thought I was rich. And my mom was like, "Where did you get all this money from?" I'm like, "Oh my God, I just made a record." You know, and she was like, "Wow, what do you mean made a record?" She didn't understand, but I was telling her, "Look, this is what I'm doing." You know, so yeah, man.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the first record too. Was it the Amore record? Is that the first one?
It was an Amore record, right? So what happened was we used to hang out at a park in 108th Street and 3rd Avenue in New York City, Manhattan, down uptown in East Harlem. We used to hang there at this park, and everybody would go there to just, you know, hang out, and you would hear like, you know, music playing from a radio boombox. You know what I'm saying? And there was a guy by the name who DJs right now. His name is David Berrios. He goes by Papa Beats.
Oh, okay.
Papa Beats. So what happened was he grew up with us in the neighborhood. So what happened? He came running to me. He was like, "Hey man, I just heard right now. I just came from Sapphire's house, Wilma, and they're looking for a Let Me Be the One remix. You know, you should go do it. You should go try to, you know, go home and put something together, and I could give it to her." I was like, "Are you serious?" He was like, yeah. So I ran home that day. I was like, all right, I'm going to go do it. So I ran home. Of course, you know, I tried to do the little remix. You know, I put some keyboards on it. Let Me Be the One, put a lot of edits on it. It was just like all over the place. I had it like a reel to reel, and it was just, you know, I was young. I didn't really know what I was doing or whatever. So I put it together and gave it to him the next day. And he took it to Wilma's house. And then I never heard back. And then a few weeks or month, Wilma was performing, Sapphire was performing at a club over here called Heartthrobs, featuring the Land Rascals. It was like a Land Rascals and Sapphire thing. So I went to check them out or whatever. And I had a friend of mine who worked there, may he rest in peace, who became later on Little Louis Vega's road manager by the name of Betty Blanco. We grew up with him in the neighborhood. So he was working there as a bouncer. So he was like, "Hey man, you want to meet Sapphire and the Land Rascals?" I was like, "Yeah, I would love to." So he brought me into the VIP room and stuff, and he was like, "Hey, Wilma, this is Frankie." My name was not Frankie Cutlass. He was like, "Yeah, this is Frankie, man." And then she was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" He was like, "This is Albert Cabrera, this is Tony Moran." So I was like really shaking because they were like my idols and stuff, you know. Since I was nervous as hell. And then I told Wilma, I said, "Hey, I'm the guy who did that remix for you, the Let Me Be the One." "Oh, you the guy that did that?" She was like, "Hey, Albert, come over here." this is the guy who did the, Let Me Be the One remix and stuff. And he was like, oh, that was pretty cool, man. It didn't make it, of course, because, they end up doing, the Lion Rascals end up doing the remix later on. Right. But she was like, oh, that's cool. She said, but one thing that stood out, she said, there was some additional keys in there. Like, did you play keyboards on top? I said, yeah, that was me. I had a Casio and stuff. But she said, so you play keys? I said, I'm not really a keyboard player, but I could work around, music, records, try to do overdubs. And she said, wait a minute, my brother's putting a group together. I think that you would be perfect to, be part of the group. And I was like, really? She was like, and she called her brother Angel. She was like, Angel, come over here. And then Angel came by. And then Angel was like, yeah, man, we're putting a group together, blah, blah. And then he called Willie from Moore. He's like, hey, Will, come over here, man, meet Frankie. So everybody got around me. There was another original guy named Juan, and this guy was the drummer. And then he came because it was going to be more like a band. It was really like a band, So the woman was like, hey, let's set up a meeting. Come by the house on Monday. So I was like, all right, no problem. I'll come by. So Monday came and I knocked on her door. She opened the door. I was nervous. It was crazy. Everybody was in the living room. I brought my Casio little keyboard, So they were like, all right, man, just start playing. So I just started playing. I mean, I was not I told them, look, I'm not a real keyboard player. They were like, no, just do what you could do. So I just started playing. Like I started mimicking other records that were out already and stuff, started playing that. And I'm like, all right, cool. You're pretty cool. It's not that bad. You could, hey, man, congratulations, man. We want you part of the group. So I was like, all right, thank you, man. So I became part of the group and more. And then they were like, can you come up with something so we could, do our first song? So I went home and created the music to You Never Find Another Love, believe it or not. And we took it to Wilma's house a couple of days after that. And we started all writing the song, You Never Find Another Love. Will already had mostly the lyrics, but we just started adding stuff to it in the melody structure. And Wilma started adding her melody structures. And then, believe it or not, we got Mark Anthony to sing the reference. Mark Anthony sang the reference to You Never Find the Love, and we did it at Aldo's house, Aldo Marine from Cutting Records.
Yeah.
Man, I still to this day call Aldo. Aldo, do you have that reel to reel, man? Can you imagine Tim playing You Never Find Love by Mark Anthony singing it? Oh, crazy. My God, bro. Like, it'll be all over. So he's like, man, I can't find that reel. But anyway, he ended up singing the reference, and Will end up singing the song like, the way Mark sang it. And we took it over to Big Mac Records, and Mickey signed it, and the rest was history, man. And I was part of Moore, and we started going to different states and performing You Never Find the Love, believe it or not, man.
That's a great story, and just because you were in the right place at the right time, you kind of had
yes,
that's perfect.
Yes, I owe it all to Wilma, man. Sapphire, she put me on, man.
That's so cool, and you just met her for the first time at that club too.
I just met her for the first time.
So that was, just to do a timeline. So Don't Break My Heart just came out. Were there other records that she had before that? I don't think.
She had Let Me Be the One. She had Don't Break My Heart was already out.
The first one, Let Me Be the One, just came out.
And then Let Me Be the One was, I think, was a second single, and then that's how the whole thing came about. Yeah, man.
Crazy. So she was an up-and-comer. You must have been, they the Latin Rascals from,
and then the Latin Rascals, and then knowing that Albert lived across the street from me. So when I met Albert, during that time, so every time, they were doing like mixes for 98.7 Kids here back home. They were doing remixes or whatever. I would, like, every week I would take a rock, because he lived on the first floor. So I would take a rock and I'll throw it at his windows. And he's like, yo, you gonna break my window, man? What's up? And I'm like, hey, man, anything new? So he would give me all the exclusive, even the mixes from like the radio station. He would give it to me. And I was just blessed, man. He would give me vinyls. He would give me, some tapes, cassettes. And I would go home and play. I was like, wow, man, this is, great stuff, man,
And that was the time when Albert it was all new, that he was just creating that sound too.
Man, he was creating that sound, and he would be home a lot too, because he was doing these mixes, and it was incredible later on to find out that his mixes was done with a pause button. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was crazy. Like, I didn't even know that a lot of those early mixes from KTU and even some of 98.7 Kids, everything was done with a pause button, man. I was just blown away by that.
It hurts my brain to even think about it, man. Can you imagine all the time to go back? Oh, that one didn't work. I got to go back and do it. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So, so you work with the Cover Girls. You work with Sapphire, we just mentioned, Gamon, Judy, Lisette, and TKA. And you will give your love to me.
So Story Would Give Your Love to Me goes like this. So basically, what happened was I was part of Moore, and I was dating Will's sister. I was dating Will's sister, and she caught me with another girl. And, we was young, and she caught me I was like 16, 17. She caught me with another girl, and she went home, and that was not a very nice scene. And then, personal things happened, and then Will called me and the next day and told me that he didn't want me to be part of the group anymore. He was like, I don't want you to be part of this group no more. So I was like, all right, no problem. He was like, yeah, man, like, what you did to my sister was wrong. So I don't want to see your face. I don't want to be around you. So I was like, all right, no problem. I understand. So at that time we was part of McMack, and we was part of Fever Record Management. So, Mickey calls me. He's like, man, Will don't want you part of the group. I said, yeah, that's cool. It's like, I'm sorry. I said, nah, it's good. It's good. So then I was a little sad, of course, because, that I wanted to be part of the group, and I was young, and that's all I lived for, So then Sal calls me. He was like, hey, man, he was like, so Will just called me. I heard what happened, and he doesn't want to be part of the group. I was like, all right, okay. He said, but it's not over. Andy Panda wants to talk to you. So I was like, Andy, what Andy, what he wants to talk about? You know what I'm saying? So,
wrote Cover Girl records, show me.
Yeah, he wrote a lot of records. Arabian Nights, Tears Me For. He wrote for mostly every artist there is, in freestyle music from back then, Yeah. So he called me. He was like, hey, Frank, what's up, man? So I heard what happened with Will. And I was like, all right. And he was like, yo, man, it's not over. I was like, what do you mean it's not over? He says, I'm going to make you the Heavy D of freestyle music. I was like, the Heavy D? What the heck is that? The Heavy D of freestyle music? He was like, yeah, I'm going to make you the Heavy D of freestyle music. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some nice rope chains around you. We're going to put like a chinchilla, a fur coat on you. You're going to be like a pimp with a nice pimp hat. And you're going to have two girls in bikinis next to you. I'm like, are you freaking serious? He's like, yeah, man. I'm telling you, trust me, I got this. He was really serious, by the way. So he was like, all right, so get to work. So the first person I called was K, K7. I was like, hey, K, man, all right. So what happened was I already had met K. I think Give Your Love to Me was not done. No, we're talking about Give Your Love to Me. So what happened? I had met K because we wanted to work together. So what happened was I met K and said, listen, man, I need a record. I'm going to become a solo artist. He was like, all right, man. So what do you want to do? I said, do you have any songs? He says, yeah, I got a good song for you. So it's Give Your Love to Me. So he introduced me to the song Give Your Love to Me. He came to a studio, which was Chrissy Ais. She owned the studio back in the Bronx back in the day. So we went to her studio. I used to work a lot over there. And he sang the song to me. I said, man, I love it. Let's do it. So what happened was we was doing the song and in the studio having to walk in was my childhood friend, Mark Anthony, because now he was working on some freestyle, but he was also, he was managed by David Maldonado, who was managing at the time Sapphire. So he walks in and I say, hey, Mark, what's up? He's like, oh, snap. What's up, man? So, we know each other from the neighborhood. So he's hearing the song and I'm like, hey, would you like to get on the song? He was like, I would love to get on the song. So he went and he did some ad-libs on the song, Give Your Love to Me. So, and then I spoke to George Lamont. I don't know what happened. I had spoken to George, and then George came by and he added some ad-libs on Give Your Love to Me. And then after that, I spoken to Don, the Weapon Man, and he rest in peace, my brother. And he came and added some ad-libs, and then Chrissy added some ad-libs. So I had like all these people adding ad-libs to it. And there was a one part, if you hear the demo, there was a one part where I say, hey, G, rock the mic for me. And then you hear like George Lamont doing ad-libs. And I say, hey, Mark, rock this part for me. And then Mark Anthony, it was incredible. It was like everybody had a solo. Actually, the demo, it's flowing around social media. You'll hear it, if you look for it. Cool. So I did Give Your Love to Me. So I sang it and everything, and that was good. And then my next phone call was Carlos Berrios. And I said, hey, Berrios, man, I'm doing a solo album. I would love to do something with you. He's like, hey, man, come over. So I went over, brought some break beats. We added the Sin loop. I added the bass line. I added a couple of elements. Carlos added the drums. He added a couple of his elements or whatever. And then Frank Reyes, who's a great writer as well. He wrote a lot of he wrote Karina stuff, Lizette stuff, Amma Reed, Rihanna Page, you name it. He worked with a lot of great artists.
Two of my favorites.
He started writing to the song, and the song became Together Forever. You know what I'm saying? So I had two great hits. I had two great hit songs for, I had Give Your Love to Me and Together Forever. Together Forever. But the problem was that I didn't like the way I sounded on Together Forever. And mostly I didn't like the way I sounded. I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'm not a singer. Maybe I'm just a producer and a DJ. I'm not going to go there and sing it. This didn't sound right. So I told Carlos, hey, man, give it to Lizette. So he ended up giving it to Lizette Melendez, and the rest was history after that,
Oh, yeah, my God. Great story, man.
Yeah, man.
Right in the mix. Right in the mix. You're always in the mix. So,
yeah, I was in the mix of everybody. I was
yeah.
I was one of those kids that was determined. I just wanted to know and be part of every crowd, and I wanted to be part of this genre so bad. So I would be everywhere. So if I could share you stories with Kenny Dope and Todd Terry, I was there too. If I could share stories with the Vargas brothers, the Wepa Man, I was in their house too, and they were creating a lot of those records. I was just everywhere. I just wanted to be part. So that's why I have such a deep relationship with all these people, because I was there as a young kid, 16, 17 years old, just in the midst of everything.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it too. I mean, if you want to be it, you got to. You want to do it, you got to be it. Really, for real.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Cool. So on your list, there's the Cover Girls too. Which one did you do?
I did Still Miss You. So that story, so Still Miss You. It's an interesting story. Really quick, that song was actually for Fascination, and I have the original here, by the way. I have the original Still Miss You with Fascination's vocals. So what ended up happening was, so this song was originally for Fascination, and what happened was Andy Panda, he heard the demo with Fascination singing, and he was like, "Hey man, we doing a Cover Girls album for Epic Records," and that what ended up happening was he said, "Hey, let's get it to the Cover Girls." So I ended up that was a big mess, because Fascination was really pissed off. She was like, "No, this is my song." So we ended up doing it for the Cover Girls, but then Fascination ended up doing it for Cutting Records, which they copy. We copy the same musical structure that I have done. Oh, okay. So that's why I take credit for the Fascination version, because it's basically what they did was they copy everything I've done.
Took it over to the
and they took, and I have writers also on the Fascination, because I wrote the song with a girl named Maria Perfetto, who she used to write a lot of these songs, including "Love Me Tonight" by Cynthia.
Great song,
which I produced as well. Yeah,
just got that Frankie Cutlass sound, and then also the Louis Damone too.
Louis Damone, I have done Louis Damone. I did "Give Your Love to Me." I did "I Don't Want You Back." The Real Sisters. What other song I have done? "Now That You're Gone" by Karina.
Love it.
I have done a song for "I Can't Wait" for Judy Torres on her first album. Man, so many songs, and yeah, man, just loving it, producing these freestyle tracks. Yeah, man.
Just doing it and doing it. I was going through this thing. You said, or you worked on "I Like It Like That." Yeah, baby.
I Like It Like That. Yeah. So that's when that's when I already switched to hip hop. So what happened was, my friend at the time was Sergio George, who's an amazing salsa composer. He does all Mark Anthony stuff right now. He does La India. He does like Tito Nieves and all these big salsa artists. He directs them, produces them, and stuff. So I've known Sergio George for a very long time, and what happened was I was already in hip hop, so he wanted that kind of hip hop Latin sound to this, and he called me. He was like, "Hey man, let's do this Like It Like That." So that's what we did. We kind of got together and did the remix for "I Like It Like That." Yeah, man.
That's awesome, man. Like I said, you're an onion, bro. You just keep on peeling more layers back.
Yeah, man. After freestyle, I became a very big hip hop artist and producer and DJ. My first record being Puerto Rico, which is like a national, that's like a big national hip hop anthem for all the Hispanics, and that sold a lot of units and stuff. And then "Shake What Your Mama Gave You," that was another song.
Bring that up. How was that working?
Yeah, it was great working with Luke. And then after doing that song with Luke, he invited me to do a song for him and Notorious B.I.G. So I did a song for Luke and Notorious B.I.G. Sat in the same room with Notorious B.I.G. Just this kid right here from Spanish Harlem, man. Just like working with all these great people. There's a lot of producers and artists that did remixes with Notorious B.I.G. that never sat in the same room with him, and I sat in the same room with this genius and smoked some weed together and laughed, and you know what I'm saying. And Notorious was just funny. He was a funny guy, man. So I have done work with Notorious B.I.G. It was definitely a blessing to work with Luke and Notorious B.I.G. man. Yeah.
And Shaggy and Fat
Shaggy. Yeah, Shaggy did Nice and Lovely. I did the remix to Nice and Lovely. We were kind of label mates because I owned a label with Will Sokolov, the guy who used to own Sleeping Bag Records and Fresh Records. And his brother owned Sitna Records, which was a reggae label, and we were all in the same office. So Puerto Rico was part of a label called Hoodie, which is distributed by Freeze and Moonroof and all that. So it was like all family. And Shaggy was signed to Sitna Records, which was Will Sokolov's brother's label. So we bumped into each other at the office, and Will's brother was like, "Hey, Will, I would love to get him to do a remix, a hip hop remix for Shaggy," and we did the hip hop remix, and yeah, man, nice and lovely,
Oh, that's amazing. So many. How long did you do mixes for Hot 97?
For two and a half years, 3 years. So what I used to do the morning show with Dr. Dre and Ed Lover. We did the morning show, and sometimes I filled in for Funk Master Flex because during that time I was managed by a company called Stress Entertainment, which Flex had part owners of. It was a lady by the name of Jessica Rosenbloom. So she manages a whole bunch of DJs, local big DJs here in New York City. So I was part of that camp. So what happened was a lot of times when Flex couldn't make it to the station, they would hire me to come up there and DJ. So I would do that, and I would do also the Labor Day weekend special mixes and stuff for Hot 97. So yeah, man, I was part of that whole camp up there, until I became an artist later on, and then I had to do a lot of promotion work for Epic Records and Sony because I got signed to Epic and Sony on my own, single and as a hip hop artist. So I had to go to different states and country to promote. So I stopped doing the whole Hot 97 thing,
Right. Well, cool, man. You had such a great career. And, like I said, I know the name, and Frankie, I feel like I've known you for a long time, but when we've
your name came up. Let me tell you, your name used to come up a lot with Joey Gardner.
Yeah.
So, because I was also part of that camp with Joey, I did the K7. You see the plat in the back. I was part of that. Yeah. I'm the reason for the name K7 and the Swing Kids. K always tell everybody. Frankie gave me the name K7 and the Swing Kids. And of course the first demo that was done off that album was Zunga Zang. Believe it or not, was the first song off that album. That was the first demo, and I did Zunga Zang and I did Body Rock on that album. So
I love Body Rock too.
Yeah.
Well, you're the man, Frankie. Thanks so much for taking a few minutes and just hanging out.
Oh, man, Tim, you're the man, bro.
Like I said, you said 16. I go, see, I knew you had part of the song. I didn't know the story. And I know that, you really have a lot of history. And I think this is a great thing for people to see and find out who is Frankie.
Yeah, and the crazy thing, really quick to add on to this, crazy thing is like I came back to the freestyle genre like maybe 3 years ago. So, every time I was trying to give my opinion about certain things, I was getting knocked by a lot of DJs. They were like, man, who the hell you think you are? Right. So a lot of people, I have because what happened was I had left the music scene for almost 10 to 15 years. I left the whole scene. I didn't want to be part of the music business no more. So I came back, 3 years ago and I was trying to give my opinion in freestyle. And people would be like, who the F you think you are? Like, who makes you the dawn of this genre? And I said, maybe you don't know who I am. And they're like, no, I don't know who you are. I'm like, maybe you want to do a Google search. Maybe you want to look at wait a minute, I forgot. We don't do records no more. So that's why you can't see the credits. Maybe you want to see the credits on some of these records. And they're like, man, some of them used to come back and go, man, I feel cheap, bro. I didn't even know. I said also because some of these records had my government name, which was Frank Malave. So, a lot of these records had Frank Malave or F Malave, or some of them had Frankie Cutlass. But, they will come back and be like, I feel so cheap, man. Like, I didn't even know you was the back of these records. I'm like, nah, it's all good, man. So that was a little problem I had coming back to this genre of freestyle, getting this thing back on the map or whatever. A lot of people didn't know who I was and the work I did. And that's why it was important for me to dedicate some of my Monday nights to myself. The best of Frankie Cutlass, because I needed people to understand, like, listen, man, I'm not a new jack here. I've been here around. I've been in this genre for a very long time. I just left for a while, but I'm back. So I had to introduce myself.
Well, if you didn't know, now you know.
Now you know.
Thanks, Frankie. Only love. Thank you, brother.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you, Tim.